Welcome everybody to today's webinar. Give yourself a raise, how to get more listings at higher commissions with our host and coach, Darryl Davis. Hey, Darryl.
Hey, Jules.
To get the most from today's webinar, I want you to take really good notes and use that Q&A panel to ask any questions that you might have. To contact us at any time after today's workshop, you can reach us at Darryl Speaks on all social media networks. Darryl's the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one that you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is actually the #1 selling book to real estate agents on Amazon. Darryl was also named one of the 2020 influencers and thought leaders for Risk Media Magazine. And he is the recipient of the coveted CSP designation by the National Speakers Association. It's only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide. On that note, Darryl, I know we're excited to see what you have to share on this topic today.
Yeah, so this is a session I used to do quite a bit from the stage, live seminars, companies that hire me to come and do it. This is actually the first time that we're doing this specific topic since this coronavirus. I'm really excited to share this with you. There's going to be a plethora of stuff. I do have a logistic thing to cover up front because this is common. We get this question all the time. Is this webinar a sales pitch? And no, it's not. But to be completely transparent, I do want you to understand something. This weekly webinar series that we do is for our power agents. And so some of the people on this call are power agents. And then there's some people on this call that are guests. We're really excited that the guests are on the call. You're going to get a tremendous amount of value. But the reason why I'm sharing that up front is from time to time, I'm going to be speaking directly to the power agents about where to find something in the membership site. So I just want you to understand that I'll be having sidebar conversations periodically. But for those of you that are guests, if you want to get more information, don't do it now, but you'll see on the screen there, the website. There's a tremendous special that we're doing for you today. So I'll just touch upon it really quick, and then we'll get into today's content. The Power Program membership is valued at $197, but during this coronavirus craziness, we're locking in people at $47 who want to become a power agent. But the first 30 days for you today, the guests, you can actually get in at $5. And you can cancel anytime. There's no long-term contract. It's month to month. But during this trial, you will have complete access to the entire program. So there's no restriction. So it's really awesome. And then there are additional bonuses that you'll get. Let's get into this topic. Give yourself a raise. How to get more listings at higher commission. You know, if you think about getting a higher commission, if let's say you had 10 sales and there were 200,000, which is not is a low number, but some of you are in that part of the country. New Yorkers, it's going to be 6, 7, California, maybe 1 million. But if you had 10 sales at 200,000, if just by increasing your commission by 0.5%, that's a $10,000 raise, $10,000. Of course, if you get it up to somebody said, Darryl, I want to learn how to get my commission back up to 7. If you got it up 1%, there's 20. So sometimes it's not just working hard. It's not working harder. It's working smarter. So how do you do that? I'm going to give you a lot of different stuff today. Like some of what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you actual objection handling techniques. And I may give you on one objection, like 6 or 7. I don't expect you to do all 6 or 7 because that'd be hammering the homeowner. But I want to give you a plethora of ideas and techniques for you to use so you can choose something that you like. Think of it like a buffet. Although this is maybe not the best analogy in the pandemic days, but, when we used to go to buffets, you're not going to eat everything at the buffet. You may try a little bit from everything, but when you go back to seconds, there's always those 2 or 3 trays that you like more than the rest. Think of the webinar that way. That's number 1. Number 2 is just to set expectation. Today, what we're doing for those of you, everybody, when it comes to this topic about getting better on the listing appointment, increasing your commission and building your inventory, this 1 hour is not going to fix you, right? So this 1 hour is simply planting the seeds for you to get better at this. Well, this webinar is the beginning of you getting better at this conversation, right? But eventually what'll happen is, as you nurture your farm, right? When you learn a technique and you plant the seed and you work it and you cultivate it and you water it and all of that, fertilize it, it grows into a financial win for you, a financial crop. So today we're just planting the seeds on this topic, but you need to nurture this, which you learn after today. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is start off with some concepts, and then I'm going to give you some metaphors, analogies, and handling the commission objection. First one is have more leads than you could possibly have. So part of getting more listings at higher commissions is to have more business than you can possibly handle. I don't have to tell you this. When you have one listing that you're hoping to get, you put all your eggs into that one basket, it can paralyze you because you're not doing other things to build your business. And what if that one thing doesn't work out? I heard so many times one of the failings of some agents is that, hey, Darryl, I went on this listing appointment. It looks really good, and they're going to call me in the next few days. And the agent puts so much hope in they're going to get that listing, they almost start spending the money. Think about when I get the listing and it sells, it's a $500,000 house at this commission. And when you do that, you slow down your efforts in filling your pipeline. In sales, you probably have heard this before about the sales pipeline, the top of the funnel. The concept of the funnel, the top of the funnel, is that everything you put at the top, as the funnel gets narrow, it's not going to produce results for you. Some of those people will list with somebody else. Some of those people change their mind. So what's important is that you have a lot of appointments, have a lot of conversations with homeowners. And the more you fill your pipeline and then you start getting these listings, you can have a little bit more confidence in getting a higher commissions. I'm going to say this later, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it now. Is part of getting a higher commission is an attitude about you and yourself and your worth. If you internally don't feel you're worth more, it's hard to ask for more, because if you do, you're going to ask in a wimpy way. They're going to sense your insecurity in what you're asking. But let me share with everybody on this call one of the things that we gave the power agents, and that is a chart, an activity tracker to help them stay focused on filling in the top of the funnel. You'll notice on the screen, and everybody on this, even if the guests on the call, you can create this yourself. Take a piece of paper and write on the left side, say, all right, what can I do to generate listing appointments? Call past 5 clients, send out letters, call 5 FSBA, 5 expireds. And the game here is that every day you're doing at least one of those items. If you do more than one, that's even better. But you want to at least every day do one thing that's going to put leads in the top of your funnel. And as the more you do that, the more listings you get, the more listings you get, the more confident you're going to be to ask for a higher commission. Okay. Second point here, second concept is master the listing appointment. You want to get really strong at that listing appointment. Again, people can sense lack of confidence in the listing appointment. If you have a lack of confidence, that's going to impact your commission. You know, I've got vendors in our business that, of course, right, we have attorneys, we have marketers and accountants. And, you know, some of these people that we have, that's part of our team, you know, they're not cheap. You know, we don't ask them to cut their fee because we know that they know their business better than anybody else. People want to work with professionals that are confident that they have a plan. Think of it this way. A homeowner has a problem and you're their solution. You have to bring that kind of conviction. Now, for those of you that are new on the call, it's a little harder to get that level of confidence because you don't have that track record. But that's why the better you are at mastering the listing appointment, that'll help you tremendously. Let me give you an overview of the listing appointment. We're not going to talk about this today because, again, the focus is the commission, but this does influence it. That's why I got to touch on it. Power agents, what we did is, as you know, we created the listing appointment into 4 sections using the word REAL as the acronym, because power agents, we don't close people, we coach people. We don't sell people, we serve people. Our approach to real estate is to serve and help others, and the money is a gauge as to how many people that we've helped. So we don't go into a listing appointment trying to close people or take a listing from them. We're there to give, not take. We're there to give advice, give coaching, give service, and then they choose to hire us. That is the approach that we take as power agents. Now, the acronym REAL is this. The R stands for rapport. The most important thing when you're talking to a homeowner is to build that connection, to build that rapport, that they see you not as a commission, not as a salesperson, but as a human being that's committed to serving them and helping them get to their next level in life. You want to engage them in the conversation, and how you engage somebody is by asking questions. And the other reason why we're asking questions is to find out what they're committed to accomplishing, because nobody sells a house just to sell a house. People sell a house because they're committed to a next level in life, and selling the house is the means to a bigger end. I mean, what we do as real estate professionals, we don't just sell houses. We help people get to their next level in life. And our job is to manage the real estate piece of it, because without that, they won't get to their next level. So we need to ask those questions, those 13 questions that we have, to help get to the heart of what people are committed to. Once we're clear about that, then we're going to give them some advice. This is where we're going to coach them. We're going to tell them, here's how I can help you get to Florida with the monies you need to make the move a success. This is where I'm going to talk about how we use multiple listing, how we use in this new real estate reality, how we use the technology and the virtual tours to help them sell their house for the highest possible price. And when we feel they are ready to hire us, that's when we have that conversation about listing with you. And here's the fees that we charge. So that's the overview of the listing appointment. Now, the next thing is, and we talk about this when we teach the whole hour on the listing appointment, is you've got to, when you start getting into what you do to help a homeowner sell a house, you got to validate the industry first. I'm going to assume that, for those of you who don't know me, my style is how to list FSBOs. And the reason why that's my style is because when I was an agent, that's how I built my business. Now, the good thing about that is, the blessing in that was, if you show me an agent who knows how to call a for sale by owner, get in the door, have a conversation, and leave with a listing 7 out of 10 times. I didn't get them all, but I got 7 out of 10. I'll show you somebody who's master real estate. I mean, talk to an expired, that's easy after a FSBO. Talking to referrals, that's easy after, like the FSBO. So how I teach is how to list the hardest. And everything else is a walk in the park. So with a for sale by owner, when you go on that listing appointment, you got to validate the power of working with a realtor before you talk about you. Because the problem with that homeowner, that FSBO, is they haven't bought into our industry. And if you spend your time talking about how great you are, and this is how you market, and but they're like, I don't even need a realtor. Why are you wasting my time at trying to tell me how great you are? So the conversation on a listing appointment, before you talk commission, listen to what I'm saying, gang. You cannot get caught in a trap with a homeowner if they want to jump to how much commission do you charge. If you have not established need and value before you answer that question, you're going to be in a heap of trouble. So you never talk commission until 2 things happen. Number one is the homeowner has bought into working with our industry, that they're going to work with a realtor. Even if it's not you, they need to find a professional. The second thing is, once they buy into that, what do you bring to the table? Why are you better than any other agent that they can list with? Once you've established those 2 things, then you can talk about commission. So let me show you why it's so important that a homeowner buys into the concept of working with an agent to get the highest possible price. It's not just in real estate, but in anything that you're trying to sell, you got to create demand. The more people that want to buy that thing, the more it drives the price. Which is better, 1 buyer or 10? 10. How do you get the most buyers to know, to be aware that this house is for sale? Is through exposure. That we need to let every buyer know in the price range, Mr. and Mrs. Hana of your home, that your house is even for sale. Now, how do we give something the most exposure? Is marketing tools. See, the more marketing tools we have, the more exposure the property is getting, which means there's more buyers wanting to buy the house, which helps drive the price. And I don't know why that says number 5. I don't know how to count. I just realized, Julie, it goes 1, 2, 3, 5. So this is what happens when I'm tweaking my slides last minute. That's supposed to be a 4, everybody.
We'll change it on the slides. It's okay.
We'll change it on the slides. Let me tell you something else, gang. Here's a big mistake that we make when we get those phone calls for a free CMA. Tell me how much my house is worth. You know what you do. Come on. You tell them, ooh, and you call them and you go over and or you Zoom and you show them your comps. You say, this is what the house is going to be for. And then all of a sudden you see them advertising as if it's what the price you told them, because the mistake was you only told them there's one price. Anytime you talk to any homeowner, you've got to always assume that they're looking to cut you out and do it themselves because they think they can do what we do without us. So whenever anybody asks you, can you tell me how much my house is worth? Okay, I will, but I just to be clear with you, there's two prices on every house. There's the for sale by owner price, because you may choose to do that. And then there's the realtor price. Now, here's what we found is that homeowners, the FSBO price is going to be lower. And the reason why it is because of what I just said about marketing tools. Let's go back to that slide. More marketing tools, more exposure, more buyers drives the price. See, for a homeowner selling their own home, their exposure, the marketing tools they have is limited, so their exposure is limited. Whereas with us, the industry realtor, we have a plethora. And because we have so much more marketing tools is why our properties sell for more money. See, think of finding a buyer like fishing. If you wanted to catch a buyer or catch a fish as a homeowner going trying to sell you yourself, you're throwing out a line. Like if you do an ad on the internet, that would be a fishing line, or you put a for sale sign in front of your house, that's a fishing line. But you see, realtors, we don't use fishing lines. Imagine a fishing trawler throwing out a net, bringing all these buyers on board. This is why agents sell for more. This is why when you do the math, actually we work for free. Because after what we do, and then you pay the commission, your net number is still higher than the FSBO price. See, Mr. and Mrs. Hanana, when it comes to hiring a professional, well, most of the people that I work with are very busy, successful homeowners, and they have a team of people that work for them, right? So, for example, they have a doctor that they can rely on. If they're not feeling well, they go to their doctor. They'll also have a lawyer. If they're ever concerned about a lawsuit, they have that person that they can reach out to. And some of my entrepreneurs, they're always working with but they've got that attorney that they rely on. When it comes time to doing their taxes, they got an accountant that takes care of that. They don't do their own taxes. And they also have a realtor that takes care of the real estate piece of what they do, because the real estate is the most important asset, one of the most important assets they have. So this is, I want to be one of your team members here, you see. Here's the next thing. So there's a little teaching there, gang. Let's go on to the concept, go back to the concept. You have to believe that whatever a seller can sell for is going to be less than what you can sell for. Now, I already alluded to that just this a few minutes ago. I'm going to show you some more examples of analogies that you can use on a listing appointment to show a homeowner that they're actually losing money, not saving money. And you must believe you are worth what you charge. That's a big thing. If you can't, listen, you can't just ask more money if you don't think you're worth more money, because they will smell that. So you need to have that conviction, belief in yourself. Do you see this on the screen here? Power agents, and the guests, I'm going to tell you something in a minute. Power agents, I sat down, I wrote out 184 things that we do for a homeowner that validates our commission, why we're worth what we charge, 184 things. Now, I did this to teach, and then what we did is we actually created an e-guide or a promotional piece that you can give to a homeowner. You can do it as a mailing, a drop-off. There's so many things you can do with this guide. But what I suggest everybody does is read it. Because after you read 184 things that you do, what you're worth, you're going to want to raise your fees. Because you'll be, Ming, look at what we do. Look what we do for these homeowners. And you know what? Here's the other thing. When you think about it, we do all this stuff for free because they don't pay us unless we get the job done. You're going to put it on MLS. You're going to do open house. You're going to advertise. You're going into your pocket. You're spending your money with no guarantee. They don't pay us anything up front. Unless you're in Australia, like in some parts of the world, they do that, where the homeowner will cut a check up front. Do you know what they do in Australia? They pay an agent up front at the listing appointment a check, $5,000, $10,000 check, to give to the agent, and that agent uses that money as the marketing money. We don't do that here in the States. What a great deal these homeowners have, that we're going to spend our money on them. We're gambling on them. They only pay us at the end if we get the job done. I don't know of any other profession that does that. You know, maybe the medical, you go in for an operation, you got your insurance, you got to pay the bill, but they'll come after you if you don't pay. So that's different. All right. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So power agents, how you get this 184 guide, it's in the listing appointment tab of the Power Program website. The guests on the call, I'm going to tell you how you can get a copy of that at the end. Let me continue teaching. Next concept, there is always going to be someone who will charge less than you. There's always going to be, and you do not want to compete with other people based on what they charge. You want to run your race, not somebody else's. You want to charge what you're worth, period. You know, I had somebody, I'm trying to think what it was. Just recently, there was a vendor we were looking to hire for something, and they came in way high. And I said, yeah, thanks for that, the quote and stuff. We're going to go with so-and-so because it just works better financially. And then here's what they did. They dropped their fee down. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. But I'm still like, I don't like when people do that because there's so much things wrong with that. If you really believed you're worth what you're worth, and if you cut it, then you're not going to feel good about our relationship. If you cut it, then that means if that's not the case, if you cut it, and you were just trying to get more money from me at the beginning, then you lied to me when you quoted that. So you should quote what you're worth and you stick with it, because you start playing games with it. That means you're sending out a very bad message that you lied originally, or you don't feel you're worth. You'll do whatever it takes to get the listing. The next thing is never address commission on the telephone. Sometimes homeowners will want to drag you into that and you don't want to do it. You got it. Why? Here's why. Because you need to first establish value before you talk commission, and you can't possibly establish the correct value on a telephone call. A Zoom meeting, like a listing appointment, yes. Face-to-face, yes. Darryl, what do you say when they say, well, how much commission do you charge on the phone? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, the fee that we charge is based on so many things. What's important to you, the time frame that you're working on. The commission is also part of the marketing expense, the marketing tool. So there's a range, but I think we're rushing ahead of ourselves. I usually don't talk with commission with somebody until they've decided to hire me, and we're not there yet. I just want to come see your house like you're letting buyers in. I just want to see what you got and see how I can help you. So I think we're running ahead. When can I come over so I can see the house? So that's how you handle that objection or question. Whatever, there's no numbers on this. Next concept is attract sellers, not based on the cost, but based on the benefits that you offer. So we're going to talk more about that. Now, when the issue is 1%, you only need to prove why you're 1% better. My point here is, if let's say you're talking to a homeowner, and I'm just going to use numbers as an example. Let's say you're asking for 5%, and although, all right, so let's say you're asking 5%, and the homeowner said, well, BS Realty, Bob Smith. Bob, Darryl, is going to charge 4%. So we're going to go, Bob. Why? Because it's 4%. He said, yeah, Well, let me ask something, Mr. Masana. If I can go to 4% instead of 5%, would you then hire me? Yes, Darryl, you can go to 4%. Then let me ask you a question. Why would you hire me then as opposed to Bob? Well, Darryl, we kind of like you. You look personable. We think you're going to work hard. You got a good track record. You're worth a good company. They tell you. Then I'd say this. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, isn't that why I'm worth the extra 1% for all the reasons you just gave? So anyway, there's a little way to handle that. But my point here is, sometimes a homeowner will say, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a commission, and they'll do that 3%. I'll pay you 3%, or I'll pay you 2%. In other words, if they're half sold on the selling broker side of the commission, you just need to validate the other half of the listing side. So that's a good thing. Okay, there's no law that says you have to negotiate a commission in 1% increments. Again, as you've already heard me say, I'm not a real fan of playing games with commissions to begin with. You should set a standard, and that's what you should charge, and bada bing, and that's it. And if you can't stick with your let's say 5%, then what number can you stick with? What number can you feel strong about, right? But there are the exceptions from time to time where you have a homeowner that, it's just they got to feel like they won. Like they just, it's like nothing you're going to do is going to help you. And so therefore, they may be pushing, like with that example about BS Realty, that, you're at 5% and the homeowner's at 4%, and there's that 1%. There's no, maybe say, listen, Mr. Misana, if I can come down to 4.75. Would that work for you? Can we get the ball rolling tonight? So I just dropped it to a quarter. So be open to that as a possibility. Use stories, metaphors, analogies, which I'm going to share with you right now. So let's go through this. Julie, how are we doing, by the way?
We're doing awesome.
Okay. So let's show. I got so much more to teach, Julie. It's crazy. Okay. Why sellers can't save money selling on their own. Number one is the FSBO. So gang, I'm good. It's a fire hose right now. So just stay in there with me. Okay. FSBO, the types of buyer, the reason why homeowners don't save money selling on their own is because the types of buyers that they attract are different buyers than what we as realtors attract. They're attracting the FSBO, the bargain hunter. Now, I've done this. This is one of my favorite metaphors. I'm going to do it again, but give you a couple others too. See, if you think about buying a couch, where would you go? A furniture store. Chances are you might go to a high-end store, Ethan Allen or Thomasville, whatever. Now, do we know that we're going to get a good quality couch from this company? Yes. Is it a company you can trust? Yes. They back their product? Yes. You trust it. There's faith. Are you going to pay top dollar? Yes. Do you know you're paying top dollar? Of course you do. You're choosing to go there to pay top dollar because of all the greatness, the quality, the backing of it. Why would anybody buy a used, dirty, stinky couch from eBay? I mean, think about it. You don't know if you really trust the seller. You don't know if you can trust the couch. The couch is used. You don't know what it's been used for. Wrap your brain around that disgusting thought. Why would anybody buy a used, dirty, stinky couch from eBay? To save money. The whole business model of eBay is to get things at a discounted price. You'd say to a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, any buyer that walks into my office, they know they're spending top dollar. Why? Because they know as a realtor, every house I show the buyer has a commission in the price of the house. But the types of buyers I attract are not looking to steal a house. They're looking to buy a good house from a good company that they can trust. In other words, we attract the Ethan Allen buyers of real estate. For sale by owners, attract the eBay buyers. It's a different buyer. Here's something else. The mentality is that the types of buyers that you're attracting are the coupon cutters, people who are looking to save money. That's their top priority. See, let me show you something. This is just an example. And you can do this with any industry. I'm going to do it with a car. But you could do this with anything. Last night I did this for you. I looked up on Kelley Blue Book. This is screenshot a 2016 Yukon Denali, white. You'll see there the price is $40,000 to $45,000. That's the value of that car. Now, do you see right above that circle, gang? It's highlighted in blue or underlined in blue. It says buy from the dealer. So the dealership price for this car that I punched in was $40,000 to $45,000. Now look at the screen still. Do you see over to the right along the same line where it says buy from dealer, buy from a certified dealer, buy privately? Well, what I did is I clicked on the private price. And here's what happened. $38,000 to $43,000. If you do the math, that's a 5% reduction buying it from the owner directly as opposed to buying it from a dealer. Now listen, gang, you can do this with anything. Furniture, appliances. If you take a refrigerator and you put it into a used store, that is going to sell for more money than if you look on Craigslist. Why? Because there's a concept called in consumerism about risk versus reward. Actually, it's not consumerism, it's investing. The higher risk something has, the more reward you got to get. There's more risk buying directly from the homeowner than buying from a broker. Therefore, for the purchaser, the reward has to be a better deal, a better price. See, here's something else too. Homeowners can't save the same commission that the FSBO bargain hunter is trying to save. See, let's take a house for $100,000. I know most of you that doesn't apply, but there might be somebody in the market where they have $100,000. I did $100 to make the math easy for you. Let's say a homeowner is advertising the house as a FSBO for $100,000. The reason why they're advertising FSBO is to not pay the commission. You can't have people saving the same commission. It's impossible. See, a buyer will look at this FSBO at $100,000 and say, well, I know the reason why the FSBO is a FSBO, why they didn't list with an agent, is because they don't want to pay the commission to the agent. Therefore, the commission is in that price. Now, I'm a FSBO buyer looking to get a deal. If I don't want to pay an agent, I'm certainly not going to pay it to homeowner. At least with an agent, I would get some service for my money. So what I'm going to do as a FSBO buyer, I'm going to take 6% off that FSBO price right there. Now, the next thing is, that's going to bring it down to $94,000. Now, for the buyer, they think that that $94,000 is what that homeowner would have netted if they listed. Because I want a deal, I don't want the homeowner to net what they would have netted. So I'm going to knock off another, I don't know, let's make the math easy. I'm going to knock off another 4 to make it 10%. So now I'm going to offer this homeowner $90,000. This is why FSBOs don't save, they actually lose. I'm going to show you more in just a second, and which is here. It's published proof what I'm telling you, that homeowners don't save money. Watch this. This over here is for salebyowner.com. Gang, I'm going to talk a little faster because I got so much to give you. I always do this. I give so much because I want you the buffet. I want you to pick and choose what you like. This for sale by owner guy. If you go to the website, here's what you're going to find. There's a slider that says, all right, if you're selling your house for, let's say, $2.1 million, you'll save $105,000 commission. For sale by owner saying, don't pay that $105,000 commission. If you look at the site, it's saying you can use it a college fund, house remodeling, wedding fund. Ooh, well, look at all you could save. But watch what happened. The guy that created for salebyowner.com, in the Wall Street Journal, when he went to sell his 2,000 square foot condominium in New York City, he tried to do it on his own for months and he had no success. 6 months he tried, right? So after 6 months, the guy that created for salebyowner.com, he hired a real estate agent by the name of Jesse Buckler. And then what happened is he sold it for more money than what he was trying to sell it on his own. And he wound up paying a commission. He paid a commission of $129,000. So look at that. He paid $129,000. Let's go back to his site. He's saying, look, why would you pay $105,000? He actually paid more money than what he was saying on his site that the homeowner shouldn't pay. But wait, there's more. This byowner.com, this CEO, he's saying you don't want to pay a commission. Now, what I think is really ironic is he's advertising that he works with realtor.com. He works with realtors to sell. There's an oxymoron over here with this guy. But watch, this guy who say don't hire an agent. He had a house in St. Petersburg, Florida, and he hired a realtor selling his $3.7 million house. He hired an agent. Come on, gang. This is if this Peter FSBO was such a good idea, the people that created these for sale by owner websites would not be hiring agents because they actually net more money. This was a study done by USA Today in the heart of the bubble. Remember the bubble back in 2003, 2004, 2005? We had a market that was almost as crazy as this market. Back then, if you fog the mirror, you can get a mortgage. So it was really crazy. I'm going to zoom in on this graph over here. Here's what they found. And the numbers are low, but this is back in 2003, 2004, because it makes a point. The FSBOs that sold their own home. Julie, I just got a message on my screen. Are we still okay? Julie?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, I just got a message that got me concerned. So this over here, that going back to the article, that graph, it said, let me back up because I interrupted myself. See that graph in the article? You can't read it. So I'm going to zoom in on it for you. They found that the homeowners who sold their own home, the average sales price was $137,400 in the cities that they looked. Now, the neighbors to these houses that listed with an agent, they sold through an agent, average sales price was $175,000. If you do their math, that means we sell for 21.49% higher in the hottest sellers market of our generation. Why is that? Because we're going to talk about it. Third-party negotiating. Homeowners don't save money because they are negotiating their own deal with the buyer. One of my favorite shows back in the day was 2.5 Men. Some of you folks would remember that show with Martin Sheen. And you may not remember what was happening at the time. And I'm not talking about the challenges he had with drugs, which he acknowledged. It was even before that really got out of hand. So this was before that. He kept arguing with the producer, like trying to get his fee up. He was trying to negotiate his fee for the next season, but he was doing it very publicly. He was talking about it on the news. He was talking about it everywhere. There's a rule of thumb in show business, and here it is. Number one rule is that talent never talks to the money. This is why talents have agents. The agent can be the buffer. The agent can talk aggressively. The agent can fight for the talent and not have the talent look like a jerk. Well, because he did what he did, there was the new show with Ashton Kutcher. Out was Martin in Ashton because he broke the number one cardinal rule. And the same is true when it comes to a homeowner selling their own home. If they're negotiating directly with the buyer, the money, they can say something wrong and offend the buyer, and the buyer walks. I, as the agent, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, I can be aggressive for you. I can fight for you, and you still save face. This is why also, when you think about it, if an attorney is going to get sued, they legally can represent themselves in court. I have never. Now, if you look at the politician like Michael Cohen or any of these other guys, they could represent themselves, but they don't. They hire an attorney to represent them. Why? Because there's another expression. When you're in the picture, you can't see the frame. It's hard to be objective when you have so much involved, so much at stake. See, for example, let's take these 9 dots. If I were to ask you to connect these 9 dots with 4 straight lines, and I want you to visually do that now with me, gang. If you were going to connect it with 4 lines, now once you start, you can't take your pen off the paper. Chances are you're going to come up short with a dot. Once you start it and you go around and no matter how you do, once you start, you're going to not get all the dots because most of us are looking at the box. In order to connect the 9 dots, you literally have to go outside of the frame in order to do that. Mr. and Mrs. Hanana, I, as your agent, are looking outside of the situation to be more objective, to help you. This is how I earn my brokerage fee. Number 4 is we have more resources as agents. Now, I already did the 2-way to fish with you guys. So we already did that. I did it earlier, but that's just, we use a fishing net or a trawler, right? This is why we sell. But here's something else that we bring to the table. If you look at this, unfortunately, New York's been dark during this whole pandemic. No Broadway shows. I'm jonesing for a show. Can't wait for it to get back. But anyway, when you look at this picture, you've got all these people involved that produce this end result called the show. You've got the actors, you got set design, lighting design, costume design, all these different departments talk to one person every day in rehearsal. Who's the one person everybody talks to? Come on, the director. The director is the glue that keeps it together. If there's a problem, they bring it to the director, they handle the problem. They are guiding and keeping the whole show together. In a real estate transaction, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, you have the same thing. You've got you as the seller, then you've got the buyers and the appraiser and the engineer. You said that you have an attorney. That's why you don't need an agent. All right. So you got an attorney who's going to do this for you. And let's say the buyer's got one too. Then you got the title company, the home inspector, and bank rep. Now, here's what's interesting. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, in a real estate transaction, you as the homeowner would only talk to your attorney. You would never talk to the buyer's attorney. You would never talk to the appraiser or the engineer. Your attorney that's going to do this for you, they don't talk to the engineer or to the appraiser or to the bank rep. You've got all these people not talking to one another. And the scary thing is any one of them has the power to kill the transaction. There's only one person that everybody talks to in a real estate transaction, and that's me, the real estate professional. You trying to sell a house without an agent is like trying to put a show together without a director. It's going to bomb. Listen, if selling a house is as simple as putting an ad out there and trying to find a buyer, you wouldn't have to be licensed by the great state to help other people do this. Therefore, there must be more behind the curtains you're not even aware of that goes into producing this end result. This is why so many agents, so many homeowners are working with agents. Gang, a power agent, sidebar, is everything I'm showing you is in the classroom. All of these slides, now these specific ones, you're going to find in the objection handling. That's the director's technique and etc. And you're also going to find some of them in the listing appointments. So get power agents, you have all these slides. Now, let's talk about the discount broker. Let's say you're on a listing appointment. They say, well, you know, that guy, ABC Realty. I'll change the name of the company. ABC Realty, Darryl, I can pay just, $500 and the selling brokers come in. I save a lot of money with that guy or that gal. So, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, let's pretend you're not going to sell your house. You're going to build an extension on, and you want to do it yourself. So you go to Home Depot and you buy some tools. And let's say one of the tools you buy is a hammer. It's made out of titanium, high quality hammer. They use it on space shuttle missions. It's got a laser on it, so you can hit the nail right on the head. It's a $500 hammer. By the way, gang, I'm using the same price as the discount broker charges, the flat fee, the $500. So, Mr. Masana, now you buy the $500 hammer. You come home from Home Depot. You put it on your kitchen counter. Here's my question. Let's say this is the hammer. My question is this hammer going to jump off your kitchen table and start building you an extension? No, because the hammer is a tool, and the tool in of itself does not do the work for you. You've got to pick up the tool and use it. MLS is merely a tool. By you just signing with that broker and paying a flat fee to get on the MLS, you're just paying for the hammer, but it's not being used correctly. Now watch this. You can take the hammer and give it to two different contractors. You give it to this one contractor that just started. They've been doing it, for a little while. They're not licensed, maybe, or they don't have insurance. I don't know. Now you take the other hammer and you give it to a crew, a company. They've been around for years. They've written a book on how to build extensions. They've got a whole team. You can take that same hammer and get two different results based on who you give it to. Mr. and Mrs. Hana, myself and Power Realty, we know how to use the tool called MLS to get a house sold in today's new real estate reality with this coronavirus. This is why we need to work together. All right. So anyway, there's another analogy. John Ruskin, this guy was an attorney, a philosopher, a poet. Back in his day, he was like the Tony Robbins of motivational people. I love one of the things he said. He said, when you pay too much, you lose a little money. That's it. But when you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything because the thing that you bought was incapable of doing the thing it was bought to do. This is powerful distinction. By you trying to save money on a commission, you might hire an agent who doesn't know how to do what he needs to do to help get your house sold for the highest possible profit. I mean, let me ask you a question. If you need to go in for brain surgery, would you look for the cheapest brain surgeon or would you look for the best skilled? When it comes to selling your house, Mr. Miss Anna, you want to find the best skilled agent, not the cheapest. Here's another one of Johnny's quotes. He said, there is hardly anything in the world that someone can't make a little worse or sell a little cheaper. And people who consider price alone are this man's lawful prey. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this. There's two shoes. You got the Wolf and Shepherd, and then you got the Christian Louboutin. And when you look at these two shoes, they don't look too much difference, but there's a big difference in price. That Wolf and Shepherd shoe is $170, whereas the Christian one over there are $850. The Wolf and Shepherd, I'm sure it's a fine company, a good company, but their target market is people who are looking based on price. Whereas the Christian Louboutin shoe is looking for the type of person who wants quality. Now, which one costs more? Would you be surprised if I told you the Wolf and Shepherd shoe? Here's why, because that shoe is going to be good for about a year, which means in another year, you're going to have to buy another shoe. Whereas our other shoe, it actually will last you a good 10 years, which comes out to $85 a shoe. People who buy based on price actually wind up paying more than people who buy based on quality. This is important to a homeowner. This is like, you think about Kmart, when a company has a product that they can't sell based on its benefits, its skill, its ability, the only thing that they can promote is cheaper. See, when a brokerage is promoting cheaper, they're not promoting skill, ability, what they bring to the table for that homeowner. Another one of Johnny's quotes, the common law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. It just can't be done. You can't pay a little. If you want to have a nice meal and you go to this nice steak restaurant outside, of course, with safe distancing, you're going to get a nice experience. You're going to get a nice meal. You can't get the same meal like this and pay what you would pay at Burger King or McDonald's. It can't be done. You get what you pay for, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahan. You know, if you live in New York and you wanted to fly to California, or not fly, go to California, you have 3 ways to travel. You can go by car, you can go by train, or you can go by plane. Now, here's what we know. The cheapest of the 3, although the airlines are suffering right now, so this may not be a good analogy in this current state of affairs. But once we get our acts together with this virus, anyway. But the concept getting, right, is if prices were pretty much the same as what we were experiencing them to be over the years, if you went from New York to California by car, it'd be the cheapest, but it also going to take you the longest, the most uncomfortable. And as a matter of fact, if you got to throw in hotels and everything, maybe it is the cheapest, but it's definitely going to be the longest. Train, it's a little bit nicer, a little bit quicker, but a little bit more money. But where at the plane, it's going to cost more, but you're going to get there quicker. It's going to be less stressful, you know. And of course, if you fly first class, Mr. and Ms. Hana, when you hire me, you're flying first class to get to your destination. Yeah? And I'd be concerned, any agent that's willing to cut their commission just to get your listing, how quick are they going to be to give away your money when it comes to negotiating with a buyer, trying to put a deal together? It's almost like when an agent cuts their fee up front, they're apologizing for all the work they're going to not do for you. See, because when you think about it, and this is just an example, if you go from 7%, and let's say that's the number that people need to cover their expenses and generate a profit, because realtors, we are in this to make a profit. I'm in this to make a profit, of course. Now, if you look at that commission from 6% to 7%, that's not a 1% cut. If you actually do the math and make the math easy, 7% on 100,000 is $7,000. 6% on 100 is $6,000. What's the difference? It's $1,000. Do you know what $1,000 represents of 7? That's a 14% cut. Mr. Ms. Hana, if I asked you at your job to continue to work at your job and do all the work that you've been doing, but I want you to take a 14% cut in pay, how would you feel? How motivated would you be with your job? Let's say the boss says, you know what, I want you to take a 29% cut because that's what 7 to 5 is, and 7 to 4 is a 43% cut. I'd be real concerned about hiring an agent who's going to take a cut in pay, the money they need to feed their family. I question how hard they're going to work for me. You get what you pay for. Here's the other thing. Commission is a marketing tool. If let's say you've got a few houses for sale on the market and they're all pretty much similar in style and similar in same school, number of baths and bedrooms and etc. Decorating is decorating. That's going to go when the house is sold. So you strip a house down to its bare minimum. And let's say you've got these 3 similar houses, Mr. and Mrs. Hana, and one is 8%, one is 7%, one is at 6%. Now, if you were a hungry agent looking to feed your family in this hot market, which one would you try to show and sell more than any other? So to me, the commission is also a marketing tool. There's another way power agents to do that. We created a flyer. I kind of like this one better because here, and you can change it from 6 to 5. You can do 5 or 4, whatever you want. But it shows, imagine you have 2 similar properties, one's 5, one's 6. Subconsciously, which house is going to get maybe more activity? And this is why this is so important. Everybody on this call, but especially power agents, one of the things I recommend you do, if you keep finding yourself competing with another agent, perhaps what you do is make a list of all the features and benefits that you do for a homeowner and check it off. And then you can compare what you do in your company with the other agent. You show this to a homeowner and say, listen, you get what you pay for. That's the whole point. There's one other technique to do with this, and that is time is money. If you were to look at your average days on market for your company, and if you look at one of those other companies that you're competing with, the discount broker, whoever that might be, and look at what their average days are, if you find that their average days on market are longer than yours, you can use that as an example too, that the longer their house stays on the market, the more it costs them. It costs them in so many ways, okay? And that's it for this topic. Now, I have a gift for everybody, especially the guest here. So I want you to hang in there while I go through this. And then what we're going to do, I forgot to mention this, Julie, that we're going to do coaching now and answer questions, okay? So we're not going to end this call. We're going to end until you're exhausted because I'm good. Okay. My point here is if you have specific questions you want to get coaching on, you're going to use that side panel on the screen right now. Tell us your question, and Julie will read it to me, and then I'll coach you. Now, before I do that, I have a special for everybody that's a non-power agent. I want to talk to the non-power agents for a minute. This power program, coaching program that we have is valued at $197, but during this pandemic, anybody that gets in now, they can lock in this discounted price. But today, you can actually just try it for 30 days at $5. You have complete access, and you're going to get a copy of this recording and a copy of these slides. And after the 30 days, then it goes to that $47 a month, but you can cancel anytime. Now, this program, every Monday we have a coaching call. And power agents, by the way, if you're a power agent on this call, do me a favor, shout out to the non-power agents. Tell them as I go through some of these features, what is your favorites? Like I know for some power agents, they love the Monday calls because this is where I can talk to you in a group format. You can ask me questions. We can have a conversation. We record the calls so you can listen to if I come up with dialogue. It sets the tone for the week. We have our Wednesday webinars, our online training, these sessions that we do, but we also record those like this is recording. We have a closed Facebook group that people are using for referrals and brainstorming and questions. It's just an incredible group of people. This Power Agent website, let me tell you something. There is literally hundreds of forms, flyers, and checklists that you have access that you can customize just to give you a sense of it. When you log into the Power Program website, this is the dashboard. It has 8 places you can go, but the main one where the magic is the classroom. When you click on the classroom, it brings you to there's all these topics that are alphabetical in order. So for example, let's just look at the farming one. If you click on farming and self-promotion, you're going to go to a page that has literally hundreds of forms, flyers, checklists, and you can customize these. There's dialogue. You can favorite. The challenge, I'm going to tell you, new power agents, listen to what I'm saying. One of the challenges that power agents have said, there is so much great stuff on here that you don't know where to start. And you got to take your time. You click around, you look. But what we added was this feature called favorite. So of the 400 forums, as you're going through and you say, geez, I really love this one for the holidays. You put a little star next to it, and then it saves it in your account as a special flyer. So you can, if you click on 10, then you've got 10 out of the 400. Anyway, you can also, there's a search function that we have. If let's say you type in the word FSBO, it searches the whole entire website and finds anything related to FSBO, the FSBO dialogue, video, training, ads, Instagram images. It's really incredible. People tell us this is now. Here's the bonus we have for you guys, for the guests on the call. If you sign up right now, there's a little button there to click, and there's the website, thedarrylspeaks.com. What you're going to get, and you can keep this if you decide to cancel during the trial, you're going to get a PowerPoint slide deck of 103 slides on doing a listing appointment. You customize it, and you can do it for Zoom. There's an actual 1-hour training on how to deliver the listing appointment, whether it's virtual or in person. There's sample COVID-19 contract addendums that we're given. There's a new agent and starter kit for new agents. Even if you're not new, but your business is not doing well and you need to jumpstart it, that's really great. We took 12 of our best dialogues, our most favorite dialogues, call-in FSBOs, call-in expireds, door knocking. So we put that into a little packet for people, along with how to set up a business, Facebook business page. Plus, there's also the copy of all these slides. Anything that you saw on the screen, you get to keep. We have a CRM for power agents if you want to try that for 30 days. Box Brownie, for those you don't know, is an incredible company where you can upload photos for your MLS and they clean it up for you. And we have a coupon for that for $40. And then there's our the FSBO expired Red X program, which is actually valued at $538. You get that for a month. So anyway, okay, that's it on all the bonuses. Now, listen, I can probably talk for another 2 hours about how great the Power Program is, but what I suggest you do, I'm going to open it up to questions now. I'm going to give you some coaching. A couple of things I'm going to say, and then I'm going to go to the questions. Number one is I encourage you to kick the tires for 30 days for $5. What you could do technically, but technically you could sign up for $5 and then cancel the next day, and then you keep everything on the screen. I would hate for you to do that because you'd miss out on so much more, but you can get everything today for $5. All right. So that's the huge gift that we're giving out to everybody. Second thing is, if you're a power agent, ask whatever question you want to ask. And also, please post what you love about the power program. Help some non-power agents make a decision if you'd recommend it to them. All right, let's go to the questions, Julie.
John asked, what do you do when the largest company in the market discounts by 1%? How do you overcome that? It took our market from 7% to 6%.
Yeah. Well, you want to be careful on that question because that sounds a little, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the law about? Yeah, price fixing. So let's just say it this way. You can't control what other people do. As a matter of fact, if you even tried, that's going to be breaking the law, right? So if that other brokerage is their average is 6, I wouldn't say that brought the market down to 7 or from 7 to 6. That's just what they charge, and I get it. They have a lot of influence because they have a lot of agents. So that's great for them, and that should have nothing to do with what you do. So when you're belly to belly, face to face with a seller, you need to establish what you're worth, what your value is, and communicate that. And if you want to be at 6, then you communicate that. If you want to be at 7, you communicate that. And then you need to know how to justify why, if you know you're going to be face to face against this other agent at 6, then why are you 1% better? So it's all that's going to do is force you to get better at communicating the listing appointment and your value. I'm going to say one other thing, gang. One of the last listing appointments I went on, I'll never forget this, was an expired listing. And I went through the same thing that I've always done. And I would talk about MLS, brokers open house, public open house. And I use stories, metaphors, analogies. When I explain MLS, I use a metaphor. When I explain brokers open house, I use a metaphor. Let me tell you, that last appointment, I'll never forget it. The homeowner stopped me after the third thing that I shared. And they said, you know what? No one's ever explained this to me this way. Give me the paperwork. I got a higher commission than the previous agent had. But here's the point that I'm trying to make. One of the secret weapons, secret sauce to you getting more listings at higher commissions is using stories, metaphors, and analogies. Now, I only covered metaphors and analogies today, like the fishing pole technique and the shoe technique. So that was handling objections, but you have to do that, which we teach in the power program on MLS, yard sign, lockbox, feature, all those things. You got to use metaphors, analogies. That alone is going to help increase your commission by 1%. Next question, Julie.
Just on that note, where you see in these bonuses, the 1+ hour coaching video, how to deliver a listing, that's you actually delivering those metaphors and analogies and for all of value. So it's an hour plus where you're just going through what to say and how to say it and how to use those stories as communicating value. So
listen, please do me a favor. If you're not a power agent, just for $5, please become a power agent today. If for no other reason, Julie hates when I say this, just to get the free bonuses, you can cancel the next day. I hope you don't. I hope that you want to hang around for a month, get to know me more, get to know our company more and how we do what we do. But this is the best training out there. You will not be alone in the business when you become a power agent. Next question, Julie.
Great. Is it ethical to compare yourself to other agents?
My philosophy has been very different than some people, which is you never build the tallest building by tearing down others. Therefore, I don't think you should compare yourself to other agents. When I did that during this webinar is when you find that the homeowner is comparing you to another agent. You need to be prepared on how to address that and how to handle that. So I would never bring it up. You lead with your strength, and that's it. If they bring it up, then you're prepared to handle it. Next question, Julie.
Yes. Sorry. Can you cancel at any time?
Yes, you can cancel any time.
Perfect. What if the seller thinks that the average days on market are low and means you've priced the property too low? What would you say to them? That's Eugene.
So it sounds like you listed the house and then all of a sudden you got an offer quicker than what you told the homeowner would happen. And so therefore they think you listed it too low. Well, there's a couple of things in that, Eugene, I'm going to say. It's Eugene, right, Sarah?
Yes.
Julie? Okay.
Mhm.
Eugene, there's a couple of things. Number one is everybody on the call in this crazy real estate market, I think you should take overpriced listings. Whatever you think a house is worth, don't list it at that, list it higher. Now, couple of things about that. And I'm not done with you, Eugene, so hang in there. There's a couple of things about that. Number one is you never do that if the homeowner needs to sell quickly, right? But if the homeowner has time, I would list it at a higher price so it sits on the market for the market to catch up to it. Now, there's so many benefits in this for the homeowner and benefits for our industry, benefit for your market. You know, inventory selling too quickly is not healthy for any industry. So we want to try and extend days on market to help your market, help your office, help your business, help the community. Okay. Now, the other thing is you want to make sure you don't price it too out of whack where the market won't ever catch up to it or it'll sit way too long. So you've got to balance that. If your average days on market are 30 days, I don't want you to list it to have it go 6 months or 9 months. 3 or 4 months would be better. Now, the second thing is, Eugene, everybody should do this just to protect themselves. When you get a listing and that you sign the paper, we're going to say you're doing it in person, right? And you're leaving the house. And just before you walk out the door, you do this. Oh, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, it's possible in some cases that we could sell the house in the next week or 2 weeks. And the reason why that could happen is because right now there's agents in the market that have a pool of buyers that are sitting, waiting for a new house to come on the market. So it's not, I've seen it happen where all of a sudden the first, 30 days or so, there's a surge of buyer activity and the house sells quick. If that should happen, I don't want you to think we priced it too low. It's just, that's normal. It happens once in a while. Gang, if you say that after every listing appointment, you kind of protect yourself in a case like Eugene's dealing with. Next question, Julie.
It's like the Columbo close. I like that. Just one more thing.
Hey.
Alex says, any advice on doing a coat drive or a food drive for your targeted farm area?
Say that again. I'm sorry, Julie.
Alex asked, what do you think about doing a coat drive or a food drive for your farm area?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But here's something I'm going to tell you. Now, I'm going to answer that question by going to the Power Program website. So hang in. Who asked that question? Sorry, you got to write it down because I'm always going to ask you that. It's all right. Whoever asked that question, look, first, I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to take a long way to stay. Who is it?
Alex.
Alex. Listen, when you guys sign into the Power Program, any new Power agents today, here's what's going to happen. This is the dashboard that you're looking at right now. The dashboard, you'll see the first thing says classroom, then it says coaching calls. I want to show you something about the coach. Let me go through this really quick, and then I'm going to go back to answering the question. What we do is every Monday, our coaching calls, we record them. Do you see this plethora? These are the Monday calls. And the reason why this is so important is because every one of these calls is loaded with content. And so if you're on a call and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that answer. Darryl, could you do that again? No, I don't have to. We recorded it. Go to this time slot on the call. Also, if you have a question for me and you can't be on the call, you can, this says, have a question for the call submitted here. You click on here, and then you can write your question. It gets emailed to me, and I'll read your question and record the answer, okay? That's the coaching calls. Gang, when you're in the classroom, this is where the magic is. Everything's alphabetical. If you needed help on the listing appointment, you would find L for listing, and you click there, and there's a plethora of stuff. You need help with prospecting, you go there. But let's jump over to farming because the question about doing an event is in the farming section. And in the farming section, there is a chart that we created called there's a couple of charts, but this self-promotion campaign chart, here's the concept. What you would do is if I open that up now, what you want to do in your farm area is make a list of the activities like this event that you want to do. Let's say it's a Thanksgiving event, trunk or treat event, Santa photos. And you want to list your activities and plan the year out. You don't want to just do a one-off, like just because it's the holidays, let me just do something for the holidays. Like, you want to have a plan to this because you're spending money and you've got to be strategic, right? So look at the whole, not just this holiday season, look at the next 12 months. What is it going to look like your marketing? Okay, that's my answer for Eugene. Next question, Julie.
Yes. If a FSBO is someone who recently listed with a top luxury broker in your market and it didn't sell, what would you say to them? That's Michelle.
Okay, thank you. So Michelle, so they listed with a top broker and it didn't sell. And what would you say to that homeowner?
Yes.
Yeah. This is in every industry, Mr. and Miss Hannah, you have good, better, and best. And like you can, I'm trying to think of a great company, right? So if let's say you had, if I go back to Ethan Allen, right? Like Ethan Allen has a lot of stores throughout the country, but then there's the individual salesperson that works in an individual store in an individual city. Just because it's Ethan Allen doesn't mean you're not going to get a bad salesperson in a bad store. And that's what's true about real estate too. Just because you hired that company, you didn't really just hire that company, you hired that agent and it wasn't the right agent for you. That's why it's good to look at the company, but what you need to look at is the individual person you're hiring. It doesn't matter what company they're working for. It matters, is that agent going to work their tushy off for you? Do you feel that? Do you trust their integrity? Do you feel that they have your back? And if I meet those criteria, I would love for you to hire me so I can help you get moved to your next level in life. How's that, Julie?
I love it.
Next question.
Does the $47 include taxes? Is that all in?
It's all in. 47. I've never gotten that question before.
Never have.
We should charge tax. No, it's 47 total. That's it. Now, by the way, let me just show you while I'm in here, gang, this is just the farming. You see this at the top? It says farming and self-promotion. This is that one chapter. Look at all of the infographics, flyers, and every one of these things is customizable. Then there's letters. These are Word documents that you can edit too. And these are infographics and I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this website by itself has over 400 forms that we created for you. Let me go back to the panel. Here. So you've got buyers, you've got the CRM, my top picks, there's infographics. This is your favorite folder as you're clicking around and you make favorites. That's where you'll find it based on your login. There is the listing appointment negotiating offers for new agents. We have a section. This notes section, you can create your own notes as you're learning in this program. Objection handling, prospecting, servicing listings, social media. We have, tech tools. The new thing we added is so much tech in here. Time management forms. So this is what you have access to for $47 a month, plus the coaching, plus the webinars, plus me, plus my team. Oh, that's something else. If you got a question, this little bubble in the bottom right-hand corner, bing, when you click on that, there's real human beings that they're wonderful. So Sarah and Gail and Julie and April and Rachel. So I got a whole team there, and these are live people, and they're wonderful. You have a question, you ask them, they'll be on it like white on rice.
We're answering them right now as we go.
All right, next question, Julie.
Kim asks, what happens, how do you stay strong in getting your full commission while showing compassion? Because sometimes sellers have sad circumstances like death of a spouse or something like that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. As long as you have, I'm sorry, let me just close this. I'm in a different slide. That is a great question. So, by the way, Power Agents, did I ask Power Agents to comment?
You did?
Okay, good. If they like something about the program, okay, good. So if you've got somebody that's got a situation, divorce, death, and you want to be compassionate, that's totally great to do. And I love that. But what you want to do is have a policy. Okay. So that way you have integrity in your speaking, right? Let me tell you something. I'll give you, for example, I'm going to do a personal, if that's okay. So we were found in this coronavirus thing on how would we price me when a company hires me to speak virtually. And so we came up with new pricing, right? And we had a client who asked me to do a seminar that I had just done a few weeks prior, same topic. But they told me their budget was this, which was less than what the other client said. And I said to the new client, I said, listen, I cannot come down on my fee, not because I'm just being hard about my fee or what I'm worth. It's because what this other company just paid me, I would be out of integrity that if I gave you the same seminar for less money that they paid for, I would feel like I stole from the other client, and I can't do that. So as long as you have a policy as to what you charge and how you charge, so you can have a bereavement package that based on certain criteria, you would discount your end of the commission X amount of dollars, and that would be totally fine. Now you're not cutting your commission, you're living with your policy and your integrity. So that's the important thing, is you have to have integrity in your speaking. That's the real point of it all. Because if you don't have integrity in your words, then everything you say is not truthful and it's a lie. So, I want you to have that integrity. All right, next question, Julie.
I love that. When selling a house, you as a real estate agent can ask for top price. However, the final, I have been told, is the appraisal. How do you handle that if the appraisal is the final price? So I think if they're saying, here's the price for the property, but if the appraisal comes back low.
Yeah, if that happens, there's certain, I just give you an overall concept. By the way, I see William is a power agent, and if somebody can answer his question, I see it in the preview. So William, we'll take care of you. We got you.
Got it.
So when it comes to the appraisal, what happens is that the homeowner is probably going to have the same problem come up again in the future. So the homeowner is going to make a real hard decision if they're willing to have a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, that it might behoove the homeowner to come off their price, because this could happen again to them. And there could be a balance between the two. So depending on how different the number is, let's say it's $50,000 difference, that there's a few things you can do. Number one, you can ask the bank to do another appraisal really quick, call in a second appraiser that the buyer will pay for, or the seller can pay for. The second thing is negotiate that $50,000. Maybe the homeowner comes off $25,000. The buyer's got to come up with another $25,000. So you just kind of have to work the numbers. Depends on how committed people are to the deal. If you have two people not committed to making it work, you certainly can't. So don't rack your brain if you've got two people like, well, I'm not coming off my price, and the hell with that, move on. Top of the funnel. All right, next one, Julie.
Often a FSBO is overpriced. How do you handle that?
You have to. So when it comes to the for sale by owner, if they're overpriced, they have to understand before you talk specific price with them. There is the FSBO price, there's the realtor price, and the FSBO price is always going to be at least 15% less than the realtor price. If they don't understand that, you can't talk price with them. So they have to first understand whatever price you tell them that you'll list it at, it's going to still net them more money. And I gave you a plethora of stuff that validates that. FSBO.com, for sale by owner.com, all these other FSBO people, they're not even selling the houses of FSBO. Come on.
Right.
Next question, Julie.
How do you answer the seller when they say they have a friend in the business? That's loose.
Usually when they say they have a friend in the business, it's not, it's a technique that they learn to get rid of an agent, because a lot of people don't know this. Homeowners have their own training program. It was created in the 19th century by a Frenchman. His name is Jacques Fisbeau. And Jacques teaches homeowners, you want to get rid of an agent, tell them you got a friend in the business. So it depends on when they said that. If they said it on the telephone, you just ignore it and say, oh, that's great. If you're on a listing appointment, they say that at the beginning, oh, that's great. But if you've now built a relationship and you have rapport with the homeowner, they buy into you and all that stuff, and you feel like you're right about there, and like, but Darryl, We have this person we know who's a friend in the business. See, I would not believe that until you've gone through the building rapport with them, they get to know you, the listing appointment. Like, you've got to be in that listing appointment for a good hour or so before I would consider that to be a truthful statement. And if it is truthful, how I would handle it, say, you know what, the problem with working with friends is one of the things we bring to the table as your agent is our objectivity. Remember what I said is when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame. The most valuable thing that professionals bring to you is objectivity. That profession could be an accountant, it could be an attorney, it could be a doctor. This is why doctors, surgeons don't operate on family members, because they lose their objectivity. They don't work on friends. So you should not hire your friend because they don't have that objectivity, and it could actually cost you a lot more than just your house. It could cost a friendship. Next question, Julie.
Linda, who's a power agent, wanted to give everybody an analogy. She said, for those of you deciding about whether or not to invest in becoming a power agent, you're more likely to spend more than that in drive-through coffees in a month than you will on this program. The rewards of the program will last longer, reap better benefits, and the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Linda.
Well, Linda just earned some super points.
She did, didn't she?
Power agent of the month.
Well, and she even said I had published it. And she's like, read my analogy. So I really wanted that heard. So thank you, Linda. That was kind.
Linda, that just made my whole team smile. So yeah, we love that. We love our power agents. So, and by the way, there's something I'm going to tell you something for those of you who are guests. That if you become power agent, what you'll learn about my company is that my whole entire team is more committed to the people than we are to the money. Like, our money, that whatever we make is a gauge as how, but our focus is making a difference in agents' lives. And so when we hear people like Linda say that means more to us than the money. So Lynn, thank you so much. That's really awesome. All right, next question, Julie.
Jamie says she has a person who's looking to sell her hair salon and says she has the air rights above the building and she wants me to include them in the price. Can you do that? I don't know about air rights.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I am totally. So she wants to include or exclude?
Include.
Well, I thought that air rights were automatically transferred with real estate.
I think so too. I think that's something we got to do a little more homework on.
Well, I'll be honest. Listen, I'd say other thing. If I don't know, I'll tell you. I won't BS you. And I've never gotten that question. Now watch this. I know conceptually, like, I'm a New Yorker, right? So, but I live on Long Island. But I know in New York City, air rights is a big part of the conversation because it's New York City, right? So there's a real thing about air rights. And but I don't know how it works. I don't know. Can you sell it separate? Can you lease it out? How high does it go? So I'm this is out of my strength here. Next question.
Stan says, great presentation. When calling FSBOs for the appointment and they say they don't see how you can get me more money than I can selling myself, what is your response? Or would you set up a 2-step appointment? Ooh, I don't know how you feel about 2-step appointments.
Yeah, so Julie knows I'm against 2 steps. I'm not a fan of 2 steps. You can do everything in 1 step. You don't need to do 2-step. That's first. They should not say that to you on the phone. Well, how can you sell my house for more money and net me more money than I can as a FSBO? They shouldn't say that to you. If they're saying that to you, it's because you brought it up and you should not bring it up. So let me correct. There's a bigger problem here. When you call a for sale by owner, you should never allude to that you're coming over to do a listing presentation. You should never discuss on the phone what you charge or that this is about getting a listing. You should call a for sale by owner for one simple thing, and that's build a relationship with them and to see how you can help them. And the only way you can see that is to get in the door. Your purpose in making a call is to get in the door. Do not discuss details on the phone. And they should let you in. You want to know why they should let you in? It's because they're letting complete strangers into the house. And they don't know if they can afford the house or free. Well, you're licensed by the state, so you're the safest appointment that they can give. Not to mention the fact you could have a handful of people who might be interested in the house. So letting you in is like letting 5 buyers in at the same time. They got nothing to lose and everything to gain. They should not be offended to let you in to see the house. When you're there, Then you started a little conversation. Then you transfer into a listing appointment. Anyway, what did I say to you at the beginning of this call? We just started. It's 1 hour. Well, now it's an hour and 25 minutes. We only planted the seed today. If you're a guest, you need to become power agent so we can fertilize the seed, water the seed, and make it grow into a beautiful financial crop for you. But that's a great question, Julie. But that's my answer for now. Next,
great question. I love your TSA analogy for that.
You do good.
Let's see. Charmaine says, "Can you advertise another agent's listings? If so, how do you negotiate your fees?"
That's between you and the agent. Like, the listing agent, whatever they want to do. I would do it this way. I would say, this is what I would propose. I'd say, as an agent, I'm trying to build my business. Would it be okay if I can advertise some of your listings, and any buyers that come in off this, I will pay you, 20% referral fee, because I wouldn't have the buyer without it. And that way you're not paying money up front. They're getting the value for their homeowner, more advertising. So that's a win-win. I would pay them a referral fee on any sales that happen. Okay?
Excellent. Knox asks, "What do you do when agents get 6%, but splits with the selling broker 2%? Is that wrong?"
Knox, it's not David, is it?
Knox.
So if the listing agent charges 6%, but they pay 2% out to the selling agent, what do you do about that? Nothing. So here's my answer to that, is that, in my opinion, what I tell power agents in this market, the selling broker's commission, let me tell you something. We have like this, we should not have this attitude that the listing agent should automatically just pay out 50%. Like, it's not fair that they do anything other than 50. That's not fair for any agent to say that. That, by the way, that is part of the lawsuit with NAR. We shouldn't even say that. But anyway, if the listing agent, to get listings in this market is more work than it is to sell a house. Like, you can sell a house so easily in this market. So this is what I say to listing agents. If you get a listing and it's going to sell with little or no effort, then you should take more and pay out less. But if you have a listing that needs extra help, then you flip it. Then you pay out less and pay out more and keep less. So the selling broker's commission is a marketing tool. That's number one. Number two is, it's the listing agent's prerogative to decide what he wants to subcontract this deal out to. And so they can say 1%, 2%, 3%. The listing agent is making a choice, and then you, as the selling agent, have a choice to whether to take the job or not. It's just like a government bid, right? If there's a government has a project, they're going to ask for bid requests. So people are going to say, I'm willing to do it for this, I'm willing to do it for that, and then so it's the same concept here. So anyway, that's my answer to that, Julie.
Wonderful. Shannon asks, "In my market, we price a little low to incite a bidding war to ultimately sell well over asking. Can you discuss why you overprice?"
Okay, so the reason why you want to overprice as opposed to doing it that way in this market. Now, let me just be clear with you. I think pricing it below market in a buyer's market is a good idea for that. But in this market that we're seeing mostly, now you may be in a different market, but nationally, the average days on market is like 2 hours or something. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it's crazy seller's market. And the reason why I'm encouraging people to overprice is because, let's go outside of real estate, look at another industry. If, let's say, my favorite analogy is using a shoe store, right? The shoe store, the inventory for a shoe store is shoes. And so you've got a store full of shoes. Now, let's say they sold all their inventory. What do you have? An empty shoe store. Is there a problem? Yes. Because that store still costs money to run. You're not having cash flow. You still got to pay employees, insurance, and utilities, and all that stuff. Plus, without inventory, you're getting no buyers. So every broker will tell you, when the inventory moves quickly, it hurts the company. We need listings on the market with yard signs, with advertising. We need the shoe racks full. So it behooves you, your company, your market to have inventory. This is why you should price it higher so it stays on the market longer, but not ridiculous. That's number one. Number two is it's also better for the homeowner. They're going to make more money in the long run. Okay, next question, Julie. You're on mute.
How much of this program is a fit for a licensed broker who specializes in listing businesses for sale and helping clients buy and sell businesses?
John, I don't talk about selling businesses and listing businesses, but I will tell you that I guess the analogy that I would use is that, if you learn how to play chess with marble pieces versus plastic pieces, it's still the same rules of the game. So I'd say that selling businesses, the rules of listing and selling real estate, it's still the same. So I think you be able to equate what I teach to your situation. But I could be wrong. You got 30 days for $5 to give it a shot. I will tell you this one other thing. If anything I just taught in the hour that you could use in your business, well, there's your answer. Yes. Next question, Julie.
Lynette went on a FSBO appointment that was overpriced. How do you get sellers to see the realities of today's market?
You have to. It's not just the reality of the market. I'm going to say it again, Lynette. Is the homeowner has to first get that the FSBO price is less net than a realtor selling. They have to get that distinction. Okay. And if they don't get that, you can't talk price with a homeowner until they get that. Because when you hit them with the reality of, well, we're going to list it at 100 and then we're going to charge whatever percent, they're going to be like, well, geez, I could sell it at that price. No, you can't. That's the point. They have to understand they cannot sell their home at the same price that we sell it at. They're going to lose money as a FSBO. All right. Last question, Julie.
Yes. And Chiquita asked the same thing. Like, you can go back to that Kelly Blue Book. It's a great way. It's the 5 or 6% commission because the market's so hot. I want to sell it myself. So you can go back to that Kelly Blue Book, right?
Yeah, you could go to the Kelly Blue Book, Ethan Allen. I mean, there's so many analogies that I gave you today, like the Ethan Allen one and the Kelly Blue Book one, that shows that there's two prices on every product. There's the one where there's a business behind it and where the person is selling it individually. Listen, it doesn't matter if you think about any product. I don't care if it's clothes, cars, furniture, jewelry, everything. When the person is selling it on eBay or get rid of this, unload this app or whatever that one is, sell it for me, it's going to be less than if you took that item and put it in a business, a thrift store or something, because there's security buying from a business than buying from an individual. So therefore, to compensate it, the individual price is always going to sell for less. Okay. All right. Listen, that's even true. You take something on auction, even if you put something for auction, that you're going to spend more money at the auction, but you can trust the auction house than if you were to buy it from a private individual that you don't know. I look forward to talking to you guys. Stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. Thanks, Julie.